Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new 2025 prehistoric figure release, as this time we've got something that is absolutely not a dinosaur, but still a very exciting species, and again, maybe one of the most anticipated figures overall from Collecta for this year. We have the Jaekelopterus, and this is a very cool looking figure, absolutely gorgeous looking sculpt. Awesome species choice and some very nice paint apps on this one. Another of these figures where I'm just like super impressed continuously by these type of figures that Collecta releases. So if we begin here in the head sculpt, and my camera decides to focus correctly, which it for some reason is not, there we go, we can see everything looks really legit. It looks very realistic. The texturing and everything looks absolutely fantastic on the figure. I think overall they have done a great job of not only with the texturing, especially here in the head, but also the way that they've applied the paint apps. Obviously we have like a reddish sort of or an orangish brown tone, actually more like orangish brown tone for the primary body color, and then they've applied a really nice dark brown wash that definitely helps to amp up the detail, but also just add some nice variation of color to the head of the figure. We can see that there are also some green spots showing up here and there, kind of sporadically through the course of the body. We do see one right here, and again, more as you move back through the course of the figure. Really nice naturalistic color scheme for this. We can also see the eyes. There we go. You can see the texturing for those, also painted with a nice dark tone, kind of like a very dark brownish tone, sort of. As you lead out, we can see that that same paint application basically follows through the entire figure, minus the greens. We have different variations of browns, like you can see right here in this area, in the bend right here, you can see like a darker brown, and then you see the same thing over here. And then as we lead out into the claws, we can see those are nicely done as well, and again, pretty much following the same style of paint through the course of every area for the figure, pretty much, except for the underbelly. There's a little bit of difference, but again, showing you the sculpt and fine detail and paint apps, very nice, naturally done. But what's cool about this one is it actually has a fish here kind of caught within one of the claws, and we can get a nice look at the side here of the fish, basically painted with a blue, and then as you lead back, there's like a mixture of brown and silver back there. Looks pretty cool, nothing overly remarkable. Again, the fish itself isn't nearly as nice as the Jaekelopterus is. We can also see a nice black spot for the eye, and if you kind of turn it around, take a look over here, you can see again more as far as that fish goes. I don't know exactly what species of fish that is. That's definitely something I'm not familiar with, so I can't really comment on that. But as we begin to move back through the body, you can see everything looks great when it comes to the texturing. Leading down here, you can see we do have the same style of texturing basically through the entire first portion of the body. Same paintwork and everything, of course, as well. You can see basically a dark tone here, like a black, it looks like, highlighting the tips right here. But as you move back into this section of the body, we have a very different style of texturing to the figure overall, and as you can see, that brown wash yet again does its job perfectly leading into this section of the figure. Again, it is so nicely done and so realistically done. I would say probably my favorite painted figure from Collecta for this year. It's just so realistic looking, in my opinion. Obviously we have those greens again sprinkled throughout the course of the figure as you lead back, but they do disappear briefly as we lead out here all the way into the tail, and then they do reappear again with two green spots out here on the tail. And again, we also go back to that initial style of texturing for that area, quite a bit different compared to what you see here. Again, this is similar to what we see in the head of the figure. But if we flip it over and we take a look at the underside, first of all, we can get a nice shot of all of these legs right here, and also the fact that we have a darker brown in this area here for the figure. But as you lead back, you do pick up a really strong light dry brushing, and some areas, again, the dry brushing maybe is a little bit too intense. Other areas I think it looks pretty nice, but at the very least it does give you a little bit of a different look, a little bit of a variation as far as the coloration goes here for the underside of the figure, as well as a very different look and feel for the texturing and everything of the figure down here. But overall, there's not a whole lot to it, but man, is it ever a nice looking figure. If we go ahead and get a size for it, lengthwise, if we go from actually the tail of the fish all the way back here to the tail of our Jaekelopterus, you can see it's about 6¼ inches, or right around 16 centimeters. I don't think height is really going to do much here for us. I mean, we can get it if we really want it, but it's a little over an inch, or about 2½ centimeters. Not much when it comes to that. But for a size comparison, we have our usual review comparison suspects, as we have Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collecta Human Being, next to our brand new Collecta Jaekelopterus. And you can see, again, it's got a pretty decent size to it, but it's not gigantic by any means, fairly small as a whole. And this is another one of, and there's quite a few this year when it comes to Collecta's releases, but it's another species that I don't think I have any other figures for at all, so I don't really have anything super cool to compare with it, so we'll just go ahead and get some random stuff from Collecta. Here we've got the Collecta Horseshoe Crab, which we can see is actually kind of similar in size, but obviously has a good bit more body mass. We've also got the Redlichia Rex here from Collecta, again obviously a good bit smaller. And then one of the cooler species they've released, we've got the Cuprociras here next to our Jaekelopterus, and you can see again, kind of similar in size, sort of, but in a very, very different way. Obviously the two species look quite different as far as the overall appearance to their bodies go, but they're not too far off as far as the size. And then a figure that is very different as far as the size goes, but kind of similar as far as the colors go. We have the Dunkleosteus from Collecta as well next to our Jaekelopterus. And then just a few random dinosaur comparisons. Here is the Collecta Microraptor, as well as the Nanuqsaurus, which we can see is kind of similar in size. We've also got the Mercuryceratops from Collecta, the Ceratosaurus, which is obviously quite different in size, the Metriacanthosaurus, which as well is kind of similar in size, and then finally, one of the most popular of all time, the Collecta Feathered T-Rex, which is clearly a whole lot larger. So this brand new 2025 Collecta Jaekelopterus is a very, very cool figure, and I would absolutely say is one of the highlights of this year's releases. It's also, in my opinion, one of the most realistic looking of all, as far as like how great of a job they've done on the paint apps of the figure. I think overall the paint apps look very lifelike and realistic. The only areas that aren't absolutely incredible to me would be the dry brushing on the underside is a little iffy, and the fish that it's holding isn't super realistic, but when you actually get to the Jaekelopterus itself, I think it looks absolutely excellent. The coloration is very naturalistic, exactly what I would expect to see, and again we also have a little element of flashiness with the green spots, but overall I would say the coloration, although quite natural, is a little flashy, and again still looking very natural. The sculpt as well is gorgeous. The fine detail is so impressive and so nicely done throughout. It's extremely vibrant and really pops on the sculpt. The pose is pretty much, you know, what I would expect. Nothing over the top, nothing crazy. I do like the fact that it does actually have a fish there in its claws, again kind of showing it hunting, which is also really fun. So without a doubt, a must-have if you ask me from Collecta for this year. This is definitely one figure that I highly recommend picking up. So if you are interested, of course, grab it once it comes into stock on everything Dinosaur, Happy Hen Toys, the Jenkins, Mini Zoo, wherever it is you get your Collecta figures from. Definitely pick this up once it releases, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.